We should be good to go. Please chime in if you can hear us well on YouTube.
It looks like it's
Well on
Hey,
YouTube.
you
Oh,
muted that.
we got the
There we go.
John got his sound on.
My bad.
We got our games. We got our Spurs on. Maryland's Noel. All right, guys, what's going on? I did pick the Raiders tonight, by the way.
And they were looking pretty good.
They're looking pretty
Before we
good.
started setting up.
Thank you, Jimmy. Says we are heard on the gram. So appreciate you guys. What's going on?
Oh boy.
Eric, what's good, man? I got your message earlier today. Sorry I couldn't reply yet, but I appreciate you hitting me up on Facebook earlier today. Got your message, and I'm right there with you, brother, ready to get this chat started. We're going to wait for a few more people to flow in.
With that said, a lot of injured people are coming back this week.
Mhm.
Your thoughts on it? And I do want to ask you, are you worried that they're going to be timid out there? Because there's that whole mental aspect, that mental hurdle whenever you get injured that you don't want to hurt yourself again and be back there.
I'm a little. Jeez, this thing's doing it again. Sorry, IG. I'm trying to work with the tripod here.
Yes, Tyree, we do have to spot the QB.
I'm excited to see Caden Stearns. I think him having that extra time to get healthy, and we were kind of hard on him. Really, like, look, the last time we saw him was at Oklahoma State, and he was our leading tackler, and he was somebody who we were moving around in a bunch of different positions. Oh, I need to fix this IG thing. It's bothering me. But he was somebody that we were like moving around in different positions and trying to figure out, how to get him back to being the Wolf of DKR, right? And I think a big part of that was, sorry, I feel I got a real big close up of my face there. Flaws and all. But I'm excited to see Caden Stearns. I think that's just starting off. It's still moving. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. But go ahead. Who are you excited to see?
I'm really excited just to see Caden, of course, because we've had
It's been a while.
We've had such a low dosage. I'm excited to see. I'm actually excited just to see the people who have been playing, how they prepared on the week off and how their focus is going to be. The biggest thing was the relationships that building with Tom Herman,
Right.
Seeing if any of that actually paid off. And that's something I want to see.
So, guys that are on the chats, what do you guys make of the relationship conversations that have been had? I know Todd Orlando was asked a lot about that in the presser, and he kind of downplayed it, and was like, it's something where we're not, completely disjointed or anything like that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious as to know, with the bye now happened, we're in game week, we've had practices, people are back that we've been kind of waiting on and excited to see, if there's still going to be that. Oh, there we go. Much better. Sorry about that, IG. We're back. So that was kind of the reason why I wanted to put Todd Orlando's face as our thumbnail for this, right? Like, that's what we've been kind of focused on and talking about with just the nature of our program and coaches coaching for their jobs and the whole narrative behind all that. And then I think we've been on the side of they haven't done a good enough job, but we're not necessarily advocating for people to be fired, right? But some of those excuses are gone. Like with King Stearns back there, BJ Foster potentially playing. DeMarvin Overshawn said that he's been practicing. Somebody just brought up Jeffrey McCulloch's been practicing. If people are there and you have these pieces, and these are pieces that, for the most part, some of these are old Charlie Strong throwback guys, but for the most part, people you recruited for this defense, and even some of the younger guys that you recruited for this defense, and Tom Herman said last week that this is the first time since they've been at Texas that they have 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent that the opponent doesn't have the same amount of time to prepare for them since Kansas State played last week and they're at home. If you had, I forgot who it was. I think it was Colin was talking about the Cowboys, Colin Cowherd, and he was like, if I give you 2 weeks to prepare for the test and you're over here, you get 1 week to prepare, who should do better? And so that's a sign of coaching, right? When you hear about Andy Reid has only had like 1 loss off a bye week, John Harbaugh's 10-2 off a bye week.
I wonder what Belichick's record is.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is.
But like Tom Herman coming off of a bye week, getting all their shit together, what's it going to look like? What's the product? And you're at home, right? What's the product on the field? You're not playing, and you're playing more of a physical opponent, right? You're not playing somebody who's going to come out there throwing the ball all over the place, confusing guys.
We looked at the stats that they only average 23 passing attempts a game, which is nothing comparative to what we've been facing.
So you gotta make sure you. When did Brennan say that, Bill? I'm just curious. I didn't see that comment, so I appreciate you. First off, I appreciate you coming on. We got to talk about LeBron later.
What is this?
Eagles. Tiffany, welcome. Thank you. And guys, appreciate y'all hitting that like button, like Fitz said, and getting this shared. If y'all want to share this conversation with other Texas fans, I want to prep together today, and get ready, get our minds right. Where do we want to begin? I mean, as people are getting in, we got 55 here, and the folks are starting to load in. Obviously, the conversation's been about the defense and people coming back, but in terms of preparing specifically for Kansas State, right? Skylar Thompson, I believe, 3 straight games where he's had 3 or more rushing touchdowns. They're coming in. They're ranked now 16 in the first playoff rankings. There's a lot going on in terms of them trying to assert themselves into the Big 12 conversation. They're feeling really confident. They went and really smacked Oklahoma in the mouth for the better of 3 quarters and came away with a dub at home. Why wouldn't they feel like this is just another chink in, block on the road to get to the Big 12 title game? The same aspirations we have. How do we prepare for an opponent like this, and what are you looking for specifically that Texas needs to take care of come Saturday?
So the way that they do it is they actually remind me kind of a lot of us last year, where we play keep away, we extend
time of possession,
dominate. We didn't really make the big mistake, and then we use QB power. But I think Skylar's faster, more fleet of foot than Ellinger, but that's what they do. And then not only that, they on the defensive end, they don't really blitz that often. They try to get pressure with their front 4. They got the traditional 4-3 defense and I don't know if I don't think that we've really faced that type. I don't know. Oklahoma played that.
But they were more the one gapping, and they were very, very aggressive.
Yeah, but so I mean, to prepare for them, you got to put on your big boy pants because they're going to try to hit you in the mouth right away and see what you're made of. A good thing for us, when they actually run the ball with the running back, they try to run it up the gut, and that's where big Keandre is. And I think that's where our strength is. Actually, I'm more worried around the edges whenever they try to pull guards or anything like that.
I appreciate you, man, because I'm going to get into the pulling, because it's not as just guy froze up. Says I'm connected. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so I want to address some of the comments that we have here. So we have the loss of AJ Parker, which we're going to get to, who's one of their stud corners, and has been ruled out for this game. I wanted to go back to some of the good comments we had.
Yes, Austin G. I think Sam has to stay aggressive, especially with their top cornerback out for the game, who actually leads them in interceptions as well.
I agree with you, Tiffany Williams, about the relationships. She was talking more about what we were talking about earlier. You can't solve relationship issues in just 2 weeks, but you can kind of mask things if you're winning.
Yeah, winning cares a lot.
Winning cares a lot. So that's where I think the relationship stuff gets exacerbated if they continue to lose or the team grows apart. But if you start to win, I think you can kind of get by and then work on things during the off season. Especially, and Todd Orlando kind of alluded to that as well, right? Where he was like, "Yeah, it's easier to chew a young guy out if you're 8-0.
Mm-hmm.
They'll take getting cussed out.
Yeah.
But when you're 5-3 and they came to Texas to win and they were thinking they wanted to join the party to get back to the Big 12 championship game, they're gonna be like, "Well, are you sure you know what you're talking about?" Like that type of thing. So I do understand that particular element. Well, let's see here. I just wanted to get through a couple more of these before we. Thoughts on Orlando's continued marriage to the 3-man front? Don't mind it at all.
I just don't like his blitzing scheme. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
I just don't like.
That's how you run it, guys. Look, let me ask you a question. If Texas tomorrow, forget Tom Herman's our coach. If they told you tomorrow Nick Saban's going to take over as head coach of the University of Texas, what defense do you think he'd run?
He doesn't.
Exactly. He's going to come in. He'll do the 3-4, depending on personnel.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, that's what it's the same type of concept in terms of what they're running, right? And Baylor runs the exact same type of 3-3-5 that we run. They just handle it differently. They do put bodies at the line of scrimmage. They do try to play press man. Try to, right? Mm-hmm. Like we don't even. My issue too is like we have guys who are really good athletes on the outside that are young. It's like let me just try to play some press man. Try to get some guys at the line of scrimmage and allow try to force the issue. To Todd's point about it takes 3 seconds to get to the quarterback on average or whatever he's saying, and they want to try to make them hold the ball. Well, if you're going to play 8 yards off and you're going to give up, you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't make sense to me. And I think that's where a lot of people's frustration lies, not necessarily with the scheme. There's a lot of teams that are running this scheme very well in college football.
Baylor is one of them.
We are not running it correctly.
No.
And so when we get to the point of blitzing matching the type of coverage you want to run, then we got something. If that makes sense.
No, it makes plenty of sense to me. I hate the blitzing from 8 yards from the line of scrimmage. I don't see how it's effective in a league where we're going to.
Well, it has to be strategically done. It has to be. You have to key on certain things. Like when Alex Grinch called the delayed blitz and he used Pat Fields on Oklahoma when Pat Fields got home and got the sack on Sam Ehlinger. That was a delayed blitz but there was something that they built up to that. They didn't open the game blitzing Pat Fields from 20 yards away. There was something that they noticed. It was down in distance, certain situations, and that's when he went to that particular blitz call. All right. Hey, David Lee, Texas Horns football. Welcome, brother. Appreciate you. He said young guys want playing time. They think they have plenty of time to win. Older guys just want to need to win now and expect younger players to do their role. That's exactly what we're seeing here, in terms of the issues that these guys are having amongst themselves. But going back to the Kansas State thing, got to win.
Mm-hmm.
If you win, the younger guys will shut up. The younger guys are going to get their reps and their experience. They are getting their reps. They're just frustrated. Jay Smith's probably never not played well in his life until now, right? And he was playing well for the most part of the season. Like we forget he has 5 touchdowns. Like he's done more good than bad.
Yeah, the only bad that I've seen is just the couple drops that he had and also the muff punt. Those are the bad. It's freshman mistakes.
Oh, Austin G had a good comment for you, Tran. Yeah, Tran. Let's see what I want to say about defense. I agree, but when you play cover 0, you're playing at the line of scrimmage, Austin. You're playing big boy football. And And I keep saying that when you look at other teams, the way Auburn, go watch the Florida LSU game and the Auburn LSU game, right? What Auburn did that Florida didn't do was they were like,
I'm a big proponent of
I don't
jamming people
care if you're Jamar Chase. I know you're awesome. I'm still going to try to jam. I'm going to try.
I'm a huge believer in hey, pop the guy in the face and see what he's made of. With that said, are we prepped to handle that cover zero?
No, but you can do it situationally. Yeah. There's certain times you can mask certain things. There's different, especially with guys being back, right? Like the communication should be better in terms of what
guys at the line that I see as dogs. They'd be able to do that are BJ
Overshawn as well.
BJ Overshawn, and also Cook, Anthony Cook as well. He's got some.
I agree.
He's got some anger in him.
So here's something I'm a little frustrated about, guys. Why isn't Anthony Cook just an outright starter? Why are we playing this game right now? Like Jalen Green, Anthony Cook, that's what I want to see as my starters. If you want to rotate in Deshaun Jameson.
Well, you have to rotate them.
Yeah. But you're going to get Deshaun Jameson will get some work. Kobe Boyce will get his work. We're going to need guys to help out also in the slot. But like for the most part, like this whole back and forth, whatever the hell's going on with Anthony Cook and Jason Washington, that needs to get solved. I'm just being real, right? Because even in the Kansas game where he gave up some catches or some pass interference, I love the way he was trying to play. I liked his aggression. I like his athleticism. He wasn't getting torched. The guy caught a ball like on his thigh.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But his technique was fine.
Yeah.
I can work with Anthony Cook. I don't understand why they keep playing this game where he's like, he's going to come in the second quarter or whatever. It's like, put your best guys out there.
I agree. I do also agree. You have to set precedents. If he is acting like an asshole in
practices,
in practice, you need to set precedents. But
I get it. But Chris Boyd was acting like an asshole, and we needed that. Sometimes you need assholes on your defense. I get it though.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited, Jonathan McKay. I'm very excited. I said this the last video we did. Very excited to see Jordan Whittington come back. Bill Crone said the corners are not physically developing their bodies yet. Green, Cook, Jameson, Boyce are all well under 200 pounds. Jalen Green, I mean, he's getting there with his body. I will agree with you with Jameson, especially him having to switch positions because he didn't start out at corner here. And then Anthony Cook is not yet physically in his body, but I'm already seeing.
I see it with Anthony Cook. I see it. I'm not worried about him physically.
Let's see.
Jalen Green and Cook's potential to me is high. Yeah, I agree. I'm worried. I'm really worried about his shoulder.
Jalen.
So I'm wondering how many snaps he's going to actually get.
I think he's at a good place. I mean, if he made it through, and it's been a week.
Shoulders are a weird thing, though.
Yeah, that's true. But Jordan Whittington, going back to that point, I'm very excited to see how he's utilized. I think more so how he's utilized and if he has that burst that we expect to see from him. I still think Keontae and Roshan are going to get the bulk of the work because they don't want to overwhelm the kid.
I'd be surprised if he got more than 7 carries.
Depending on the way of the game. Well, it's going to be interesting because Tim Beck brought up a good point about I think we average 79 snaps a game offensively, and Kansas State is only allowing 58 per game because they hold the ball so much and they don't give up big plays. The whole that whole game flow thing, right? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how efficient we are offensively, and I think offensively trying to get back. That's the other thing I want to see during the bye week. Are we going to get that nasty back with our offensive line?
Where we can run downhill with
I think even Kansas and TCU, we at times were able to show that running down, but we haven't. Our pass blocking, something's been a tick off. If we can get back to where we were, I'd say like the first 4 or 5 games of the season, really probably before West Virginia. I mean, I could be tripping on pass pro, but I felt like we were there physically. both running and pass pro, right? Like I'm curious to see over this bye week if they can get their juice back. Because I mean, we've had the same guy starting every week.
Yeah.
It's not like we
actually
had to rotate.
them.
We have not had to rotate a bunch of people on the offensive line. And I think, again, that's something, going back to my point that I always make every single week on this channel regarding playing complementary football. Your offensive line should be able to help you out with keeping the defense off the field, right? So those are all things we got to factor in. All things we got to factor in.
Yo, money, I will put money on 0 times. How many times you're gonna be on the jumbo screen?
Oh yeah. We'll be at the Tech game. We won't be at this game this Saturday though.
You know, you got South against K-State running cover 1.
We're streaming from a webcam. Can we get some punt return? We're still dead last. I mean, that's a great question, David. I don't know how we fix that at this point in the season or what work they would have done. My only solution is they need to get a real special teams coordinator in there. To be honest with you.
Oh, shout out the bosses.
Oh, I left the bosses. Can you grab the bottle?
Sure.
It's in the. Thank you, sir. It's on the side of the bag. Kirk Copeland, appreciate you, man. I had the bosses right here, but it's on the other side of the camera. There you go, guys. Promo time, commercial time. Check out Bosses Ranch, our wonderful sponsors. HEB Cold Produce, tremendous product. I keep it on me at all times. Those of us who love ranch, y'all chime in with those who have gone out to HEB and got some of the cold produce. This Red River Ranch flavor is delicious.
Yeah. Kyle McKee said that he loved it.
Kyle McKee got some? Oh, all right. Vanilla Bean said it cures cancer. Hey Tanner, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for hopping in. Carr said I got you. Thank you. It's been a long day, so as my grandmother used to say, charge it to my head, not my heart. All right, I want to see what Bill has to say. No, I agree with you. Green did get hurt tackling in the run game, but look, I mean, you still have to play ball, man. You still got to develop these guys throughout the season. I understand, physically, guys aren't all the way there, and they will get there. And that's also why I've stressed patience. For those who just want to start getting rid of people, and then you bring in a different coach who wants a different type of corner and all that type of stuff. I think you have to. I am preaching patience with that group. But that's a position group we were saying we needed to be patient with coming into the season.
The babies.
We knew they were young, right? And my whole issue hasn't just been with corners, okay? It's been that other position groups haven't picked it up, right? The defensive line hasn't stepped up at times. The safety room has been underwhelming at times, considering the talent level. And then all of that, yes, does fall into the communication with the coaching staff and how they're utilized at times and how they get cute with certain blitzes. So it's a very complex issue that we have defensively. But I wanted to go back to the offense because they can help with this. They can get a lead. So last year, if y'all remember, we went to Manhattan and kind of ended that, right? We were up 19-0 at halftime. They made the quarterback change. But one of the things we did was we forced their hand, right? Mm-hmm. We forced them to have to go to a Skylar Thompson, to have to throw them back into the game, to do things that they didn't necessarily want to do in terms of their schedule and their script. So I think getting a lead and the offense coming out sharp to help that defense play, to force the issue in terms of generating pass rush will be very, very key in this game.
Yeah, and not only that, not just a lead. I'd like to see at least 2 score lead because that puts them into unfamiliar territory where they're not running the ball and trying to control the clock. They go on his arm a little bit, make a little mistakes.
Absolutely. Like I mean, you look at they ran 60 times against Kansas and threw it 16.
Mm-hmm.
you know, you got to get that ratio.
That's not even close. I mean, it's not even close to balance. So you can't even say it's a pro style offense or anything like that.
Hey, I mean, guys, in terms of we talk about the play calling, right? I mean, part of that to me is on time run, but like the play, I haven't had an enormous issue with the play calling, to be honest with you. I just think situationally we stall. But I can't complain about that. When we're averaging 40 points a game and we've had one of the most productive offenses in the last 12 years, that's not the thing I'm necessarily going to choose to bitch about. Am I frustrated that we don't run the ball more? Yes. Do I sometimes question the personnel decisions that they have on the field? Yes. But one of the things we talked about all offseason was we want more big plays. We want explosive plays down the field. We've been getting those. Burning Eagles earlier in the season. Devin Duvernay's popped a couple the last couple weeks. We've seen, now we haven't had the trick plays or anything like that, but our offense isn't perfect. Not every single play is going to work, but I don't understand how you can just completely say the play calling sucks, considering the production that they've had.
Yeah,
that's just me. And then on top of that, some of it we have a good play calling. Offensive line is falling apart.
I agree with you to a point. I think the situational play calling has been atrocious this year.
Yes, I agree with that.
For instance, our fourth down calls and our third and manageable calls. You have probably one of the best short yardage quarterbacks in all college football, and you're not utilizing him. You're using a freshman on a little sweep.
So that's also, again,
I know that's one time, but
right. to the point of that play, right? Like, that's not the person you should put in the game. That's also a personnel issue. You should not be putting Jake Smith in that spot. That's a Sam Ellinger play all day long, right? Or when they went to it later and they did read option with Roshan, I'm fine with that. I know people complain about the swing passes and some of those things, but we've had decent success with that. We just struggle with the swing passes against certain opponents that have speed, and we don't recognize those things well enough, and we don't build on certain things well enough. We're not perfect at it, but it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a weakness. But to your point, situationally, we got to get better. Mm-hmm. Our 2-minute drill has been shitty all year. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this early in the season, right? Mm-hmm. And I think part of that is also with some of the sacks we give up. We get into 3rd and 8 sometimes a little too often for my liking. But
I like this question. Does this feel like a letdown season, or you feel like this week will be the turnaround similar to Tulsa? So if we win, yeah, I think it will be the turnaround that we need, because confidence is a strange thing, especially amongst young people. I don't think that it's necessarily a disappointing season because there's so much football to be played. I think if we don't get back to the Big 12 championship, I think that is a disappointment.
Yes.
Because the way we finished last season and with all the weapons we had coming back within our offense. And so if it doesn't come to fruition, which it's a high possibility it can't, one loss and we're out, I'm pretty sure. And then, yeah, it'll be a disappointment.
I'm going to go. I haven't read some of the YouTube ones here. Eagles is going to start this week. They've been asked about him again. And I've said this before. I wasn't pleased with how they handled the situation. I think I've made that clear. However,
sending him out the whole game.
Yeah, but
letting him travel.
Dude, don't get me started. Shout out to Boss's Ranch, guys.
Yep.
I'll get your bottle. HEB Cold Produce. Best darn ranch in Texas. They haven't done a good enough job with taking care of the communication and transparency, in my opinion, with those type of things, right? I personally would have just said he's dealing with some stuff. He'll be back with us in the bye.
Yeah.
And just not even made him suit up. You know what I mean? But I've already said my piece there. Could we have used Brew McCoy this season? Is that a serious question? I'm just joking. Brew McCoy, I heard he got into a fight at the frat house in USC. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. I saw a rumor about that on social media that he got into some trouble at one of the frat houses over there.
Oh, at USC.
Yeah, USC. Brew McCoy did, from what I heard. I'm not even trying to joke. So you're a little bit ahead of me.
Well, Train, isn't it crazy? You got this team was dropped.
Victor said supposedly behind the scenes, Bijan has decommitted. I hope not. I hope that is I hope that's a myth.
Who said this?
Victor Santiago on IG.
I hope that's not true.
Yeah. Siddharth from India, fan favorite. Do you think I should follow multiple teams? Because I've been disappointed for multiple years now. Man, you gotta always keep your horns up. Why are you chiming in on the Longhorns here? Like, why? I've been a Longhorn fan when they were bad, when they were great. Through and through. You pick a team, you stay loyal. That's what I believe in, man. Because when you're loyal to a team when they're bad, when they get good, it's nothing like it, man. Because you earn that. You feel like you earn that, right?
Yeah, it's so satisfying when they start winning. Like
exactly.
Just last year,
it means everything.
Was really satisfying. Just winning a big.
I don't get people that just bounce around. Like, what's the high? What's the high? There's no high.
You're just a front runner. You're
right.
just a front runner chaser.
Yeah. I agree, Roberto.
Take points in the game.
I think you have to. That's a good question, Austin. I think you gotta have to manage
4th and 2. I'd say probably you can go for it depending on how many yards a clip you're getting
and how your line is playing.
Yes, and
how the biggest thing is how your line is playing.
4th and 3. That's a field goal. I think.
I agree. But 4th and 2 and then, I think that's how your line is playing. I agree. Being aggressive, but if they're doing something to where you guys aren't picking up certain things and they're flashing a lot or people are flying through the A gap, I'd be more inclined to take my points until Herb Hand and the guys on the sideline are able to get some of those things corrected. Bill had actually talked about the running back up in, I think, in the DFW for 2021, Kamar Wheaton. I think he's watching closely. Who is right there with Zachary Evans as a running back prospect for the 2021 class, and we know he's a big Texas fan. So that's another guy who we're trying to impress and want to show some good things. The punter broke his collarbone, Mark. So Chris Nagar from Arlington, Texas will be our punter and holder. So that's a big thing. Right,
the hold
him as a holder, exactly. So those are the type of things you don't worry about until you see something bad happen.
Yeah.
The long snapping situation, holding, things like kick block, protect, any type of field goal protection. Right now, that's something that is questionable with Chris Nagar in there to hold. Hopefully, he'll be solid.
Would you like Colt McCoy to be offensive coordinator and Derek Johnson to be the defensive coordinator?
Maybe you can do that when NCAA football 2021 comes back.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, I feel like people have to work up to this position. I mean, I get that they're Longhorn legacies, but I mean, they have zero coaching experience.
He said Brew McCoy eats balsamic vinegar instead of ranch. That's Orlando, you messaged me who your local HEB is. Send me a DM, man. Yeah. They should be carrying it at all. How many HEBs are there?
There's like 300 HEBs out there.
No, in all seriousness, though, tell me what your HEB is, so we can.
Where's your base coverage? You guys would run to beat K-State. I mean,
just their base with all three of their linebackers. Yeah,
definitely have someone spying.
Yeah, and this also could be a situation where you can walk up because I'm also looking at Overshawn or BJ Foster as like another type of linebacker edge person, right? And we did this really well with PJ Locke when he was here, which is why we had a lot of success. For those of you who used to crap on PJ Locke, myself included, he was actually really good against teams like this. Granted, he got smoked on the 82-yarder 2 years ago with Dalton Schoen, who's still at Kansas State, by the way. But in terms of the run stuff in the outside zone and even helping out with the quarterback read stuff and the delayed quarterback power that they run, that, they still seems to be a holdover that Chris Kleinman's taken from Bill Snyder. That person on the end with your base front should work.
Yeah, I like Overshawn on that spot because he's got the speed and he's got the ability to actually drop into coverage. So I like that. Off topic, what are your expectations for the Texans in basketball? Hopefully, get to the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, guys. So coaching is different from playing, right? For sure. I was not trying to be a dick or anything with the answer I gave, but whether it's Colt McCoy, it's not just your football IQ. It's also can you communicate? Can you teach the game to other people? We all know people in our works, in our workspace or whatever you do for a living, who may be a genius or a wonderkind at their job, but they cannot recite anything to that.
They can't teach you.
They can't teach you how to do that. So that's a
big.
big part of coaching is relationships and also motivating guys to play to the best of their abilities. Unless you know the person personally, you don't know if they have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has the ability to do. Or he follow-up question with I understand working up to it, but do you think he can do it? I said, yeah. I mean, I think he has the mindset and he understands the position, the quarterback position, offense, and everything like that. Would he be a good figurehead here?
Look how many former players in any sport, baseball, basketball, football, that are great, great, great players that have been terrible as coaches. Magic Johnson comes to mind, or even executives, right? Like you would think, as great as they were, but there's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah.
Or backup quarterbacks who weren't very good, who end up becoming, or guys that didn't even play, that end up becoming these great coaches. So it's a completely different skill set.
Yeah.
A lot goes into it, but a different skill set. Tiffany Williams, I'm glad you brought up UT basketball. Shout out to Andrew Jones for the monster game he had against Northern Colorado. Really,
leukemia.
Yeah, man. That was
a cool story.
That was a really cool story. I was really happy to watch him out there.
Play
20 points, 4 threes, play with someone. We are going to have some UT basketball content on the channel. Y'all chime in if y'all want to hear more about UT hoops. I know right now we're doing our Kansas State prep for football, but I am a very passionate UT basketball fan. I will be at the games. I am, we are on the clock with Shaka and seeing what he can build off the NIT team. But for those of you who are into UT hoops,
wonder why Prince is the dab
guy. Yeah, man. But it was cool to see Andrew Jones, and I love Courtney Ramey. And some of the young freshmen that we had. In y'all's opinion, what needs to happen to go 1-0 this week? We have to be the more physical.
Go ahead. We have to be the more physical team. We got to be able to take their hits and then give it back to them. We've got to execute and we've got to play with effort because that's been our biggest miss is that we're not executing and playing with effort for the past 3 weeks.
When you say not playing with effort, can you elaborate on that? Because I feel like people are trying really hard.
Oh, well, I'm just thinking of one play against TCU where Rager just ran by a guy who runs a 4-3.
But he was looking. To defend Deshaun Jameson, I feel like he was just looking at the backfield.
Okay.
It
just looked like he was just striding past him.
I don't know if he was I don't think he was dogging it though. I think he did one of these. And the guy is in a full sprint.
And another thing by effort is wrapping up. I mean,
sure. Those are the controllables.
Yeah, those are things that you can do, and that's and then just executing the plays. That's it. That's the difference in our games so far. Are you excited to see Brandon Jones' natural position? Yes, I'm excited to see a lot of players at their natural position because we've been cross-training people left and right and putting them in their positions that are just they shouldn't be in. They should. So, yeah.
Hey, Mark Vasquez has said 3-line front. You agree with it? Yes, I do. We just need to execute it better, and we need to have more personnel around the line of scrimmage. There's multiple ways you can do it. 3-man front allows you to be very, very creative, but we need to run that defense better. Going back to what we need to do, I believe we need to have a very similar formula that we had to last year. Just get out to a good early start and get up.
Yeah.
I think this is a football team where you want to try to make them one-dimensional. One of the traps that Oklahoma fell into is they fell behind, right? They fell behind significantly. Now they were able to come back because of their talent and because they did have better athletes in Kansas State. Eventually, they just boom, 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 boom. But when you're playing teams like this, you want to put them in a hole. Make Skylar Thompson. Yes, he can dot you up a little bit, and Dalton Schoen. He's had 2 big games against us last year and the year before, but I mean, there's not a whole bunch. There's not like 2 Lockets on the field that are going to torch you. I don't see Jordy Nelson running around out there, right? They have good tight ends, but in terms of people that should be, blowing by or anything like that, I don't see a whole bunch of that type of personnel out there. But Kansas State, to their credit, and the reason why they're ranked,
their explosive plays are from the run game.
Yeah, their explosive plays are from the run game. They block it well. Their offensive line, the things they do with their guards and their tackles and their pulling is really creative. It's 49ers-esh what the 49ers are doing right now with some of their outside zone concepts and their pull counters. Like, those are the type of things that Kansas State is doing right now. And they're running they run quarterback counter behind it. They run quarterback power. They run sweep with Skylar Thompson. So really creative things are going with that we're going to have to be
If they go down, they can't do that.
Yeah, take that stuff off the table from them. I agree.
I like this question. The Heisman race after Saturday. If someone has Burrow, Tua, Skylar.
After
this guy.
who somebody
no, so honestly my Heisman race is who's the DN from Ohio State?
Chase Young?
Chase Young. Jesus, it slipped my mind. He's just been playing out of his mind. And
hold on, are we doing Heisman power rankings right now? Because he said Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, it's like legitimately he would be in my top 3 right now. And it'd be.
I want to answer Austin G's question. He said if we win the coin toss, should we kick or receive? I'll go first. I want to receive because, to my point, I want to try to get the lead. I want the football in this particular game first. And I think we started with the football last year because I think Kansas State took the football at halftime. For whatever reason, I remember them taking the ball at halftime when Skylar Thompson came back. Kick or receive?
I receive this game. I don't want them to have the ball and then waste off us give away a touchdown and they waste off half the first quarter. I don't want that.
Also, that leads me to another thing because I do want to get into the Heisman talk with you and our fellow fans here. I believe Tim Beck, when he said Sam was pressing, and we all kind of suspected that as fans, and he was specifically talking about some of the interceptions and the decisions that he was making in the TCU game. But he outright came out and said Sam was pressing and why he was pressing, right? Like, trying to do other people's jobs for them. And I loved what Tim Beck said in terms of your job is to distribute the ball to the playmakers and orchestrate. That's your job. And he was talking about, like, you started going back to some of the bad habits you had as a freshman when you were turning the football over. And so when we get down or another group is struggling, I know we talk about picking guys up, but the way you pick guys up is you do your job as best as you can.
It inspires other people. That's what Vince Young used to say. He said he watched the defense and knows when our defense was extremely well coached and extremely just on top of the game. He said, them making a big play got me up to make a play. And the famous thing was when we stopped Lindell White at the 4th and 2. Huff grabbed him and said, "I got you the ball, you do you." So I mean that's where it builds those relationships. That's where winning comes from. So
football. So whoever this is that threw out the Taysom Hill thing, please leave. I do not like that name being mentioned in official.
Why? Because he had
I have never
8,000 yards against us.
I have never been so scarred by one player in person against my team than when I was at that Texas BYU game. And we could not, even Quandre was out there. Like, we couldn't do nothing with that boy. So
he embarrassed
for
us.
BYU, for you bringing up Taysom Hill, please leave. Can't stand it. I'm just messing around, but he gives me nightmares. Oh, K-State did get the ball for it. You're right. The Deshaun Jamison. Good call, Denver. Good call. All right. So while we have a little bit of a lull, Heisman stuff. Who's your 5?
Burrow. I can't be 2 anymore. It's gotta be what's his name?
Chase Young.
And then I'm gonna go quarterback. What's his name?
Hurts. Fields.
You're
going Fields 3. So Burrow, Chase Young, Justin Fields, and then who's 4 or 5 for you?
4 or 5.
You still got Chuba in there?
I mean, he's still balling out.
So Chuba's still balling.
He's just on a crappy team.
Did you notice that they got ranked?
They got ranked?
The playoff people put Oklahoma State, I think, at 23.
Oh yeah?
It was really fishy.
Okay.
It was really. Did anybody else notice that Oklahoma State got ranked? Like, they did it super low key.
So I'll put Jalen Hurts and then Chuba. I go look it up, man.
I think they put Oklahoma State at like 23. I just remember seeing them get ranked, and I was watching the show or the thing. I was like,
but yeah, I mean, he's balling out. I mean, you can't take that away from him, especially.
No, Chuba's been balling out.
Especially with them not having a quarterback, you'd think that they'd be loading the box with him. With also, what's his name, Wallace.
Yeah, shout out to get well soon. Tyler Wallace already tore his ACL.
Oh, you're right.
I'm right. They're 23.
Yeah,
they put him at 23. It's really fishy.
Is that like padding the stats to maybe jump Oklahoma?
They're trying to help. I think they're trying to help Oklahoma.
They're doing the whole SEC thing for us, kind of.
I don't know what's going on. Something's fishy there. My Heisman 5 right now would be Joe Burrow. I think you got to have Chase Young up there. I'm agreed.
He's the best defensive difference maker I've seen since Indomitian.
Yeah, he's dominant. He is flat out dominating football games. I'm curious to see. Now they play Maryland this week at home, which they should.
You should have 32 sacks.
But when they play, when they do Michigan and Penn State and ultimately the Big Ten title game, I'm curious to see if because in order for you to be there as a defensive player, your numbers got to be stupid too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember Ndamukong Suh's he had like 1 million tackle for losses, right? Like to where it was just like he had to be there, and he had 6 sacks in the Big 12 championship game. He still finished like 4th though. So the Chase Young buzz is good right now. I think where we are analytically and showing the impact that a defensive end can have, I think we're even further along than where we were with Suh. Mm-hmm. And Suh was an interior guy, and Chase Young,
even clowning.
But so that's gonna be interesting. We were talking about that earlier with Jordan Whittington in terms of his how he'll be incorporated to the game plan. I think he'll have. I'm more so interested where he's used, how he's used, and if he's used in like 2-back sets. Because that question was asked this week with Roshan, Keontae, and Jordan Whittington, could we see some, 2-back stuff? Do you motion, guys? Like, what are some of the packages we might see? And of course, he didn't answer the question, which he shouldn't. But I do think that could be potential of how we see it. But at the same token, they don't want to overwhelm the guy. I don't think they want to overwhelm him. I think as a staff, I trust Stan Drayton and I trust Tom Herman to know what he can and cannot handle, if that makes sense.
What needs to happen for us to make the Big 12 championship? We need to win out, and OU needs to win out. That's the easiest way. Because if we win out and OU
and that would be essentially meaning that Baylor loses. Yeah. the OU and Texas.
So yeah, if Baylor beats OU and
We're
we
in
still
trouble.
win out, and OU goes in, so does Baylor.
Yeah. But look, I know technically we don't control our own destiny, but right now we kind of still do.
Yeah.
But it starts with us. I mean, if we continue to play the way we've been playing, then the Big 12 championship is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very simple,
We
right?
just we gotta get better and win this game.
Absolutely.
Baylor beating OU. Well, Kansas State beat OU. So.
Yeah, I don't see Baylor. I don't see
see
it happening either. I don't think they're gonna fall asleep at the wheel
anymore. They have zero margin of error. If USC hires Meyer, could they flip Bijan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Easy. Yeah. You see how Urban Meyer wins recruiting battles in Texas, by the way. Look at all those kids on Ohio State's defense, like Baron Browning and Jeffrey Okuda.
Yep.
Who are balling over there right now.
The running back too.
Where are they from? J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins.
They're all Texas boys. So you BS in a tiebreaker. Hey, what's up, Elite Horns? Welcome. Biggest game of the year. You talking about for Texas, Kansas State? Yeah, man, this is the fork in the road game.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, this is fork in the road game. Which way are we going? Period. Especially with all the pressure on this staff. This is as big a game for the staff as I can remember.
Yeah.
Because I think at this point, people kind of know, we know what kind of players we have. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses. Are they going to design a game plan and get guys playing with confidence to their strengths?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we going to see more of the same? It's fork in the road game.
And are you going to see the team come together? Like, okay, everyone's talking trash about us. We're gonna pull together. We're just gonna fight for us.
And look, to Jake Bridges' point, he says Tom Herman has to stop getting out coached. Look, this is a conference of good coaches. I forgot who it was before the season. I have to go back and remember. It was somebody that was commenting quite often about how good the coaching is in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And, this guy, Chris Kleiman, who came from North Dakota State, who's a winner and has been very successful.
National championship.
Yeah. I mean, there's no weeks off from a coaching perspective. The only person that I can outright right now say in the Big 12 that Tom Herman,
the Texas head coach,
that we clearly won. I can't even give him Oklahoma State because they both coach badly.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gundy was awful in the game against us.
I don't think we really coached that badly. I just think we kept shooting ourselves in the foot.
We did.
I gave him 3 possessions from
that
punt return.
Yeah, but he
didn't turn it off.
He didn't turn it off. That was on coaching, and he said that after the game and that 4th and 2 play.
I don't see Oklahoma losing 2 more games
in the Big 12
if they're healthy.
Oh, that's another thing too. Health is a big part of this as well, for sure. If we can get our guys back.
Mm-hmm.
And look more like the team we saw the first month of the season. It's a big thing. Hey, Liverpool Reds, welcome, man. What happened against Kansas State? I never got your thoughts. I'm not even trying to troll. I just want to know what happened against Kansas State in your words, if you don't mind.
What are the best defenders in the secondary?
Yeah, Gundy was Fresh Prince. Gundy was really bad in that Oklahoma State game against.
Which is crazy because he usually coaches really well against us.
Yeah, he was terrible.
The best defender in the secondary. What are we asking? Which attribute are we talking about? Coverage.
I guess he's saying he's the best. Well, this year has been Brandon Jones. He's been the most available.
In coverage.
I'm talking about overall football player in the second. He has like 2 or 3 picks. 2.
So he is asking coverage. I'm thinking the best in coverage is probably either Anthony Cook or Jalen Green, because when Brandon Jones was in the slot in the nickel position, he did not look good in coverage. He did not look very good.
Right, but I think he's looked okay at the safety position.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's his natural position, and that's where he can roam. Mm-hmm. And I that's what I'm excited to see, is that everyone's back in their natural positions.
So Aaron, I just saw your question. Nick Saban has a system in place where somebody goes down, the next man up gets plugged in. But you got to think about this. That also factors into buy-in. Why do I say buy-in? when you win year in, year out, the way Alabama does, to the point where they've called the Shannon Sharp affectionately calls the playoffs the Alabama Invitational, right? Because they're there every single year. You have credibility in terms of sitting players, and players are okay with not playing for a year or two in their system because they know when they get there, not only are they going to win, but they're going to go to the league. Those two things, for the most part, not saying for every single man, but the credibility is there with the staff and with the kids, right? We right now aren't even there yet from a depth perspective and from a credibility perspective with this staff and these players. They haven't won enough.
Yeah.
A Sugar Bowl is not enough. Okay? It's not the same.
String together a couple of those.
You have more, exactly. When you have built up, it's easier to do it that way. Because right now, and this goes, do you think Alabama's going into people's living rooms unless they know there's a certain position where they're light? They're not going in. I don't think their pitch is you're gonna start first your freshman year. You're gonna have
That's ours right now.
That's ours right now because we need, you know what I'm saying? Like when we go to Keely Ringo knows.
Well, he's starting.
He would start.
He's that good.
So my point is, and look, there's gonna be like Surtain Jr., who you guys will see on Saturday against LSU. Like he started as a freshman, but he was the number one corner in the country, and his father was an NFL All-Pro for the Dolphins. Like Diggs, right? But Diggs even had to wait a little bit. He was like more of a return guy, and then towards the end, graduations happened. Savion Smith and all those guys, like then he gets to start. So guys got to kind of earn their keep. Now, can you bust in through injury and those type of things? Yeah. But it's not the same type of message, in my opinion, that's going forth to the kids there like it is here. We got to win. And to Tiffany, what Tiffany was talking about earlier about relationships over the bye week, the only way you fix that stuff is winning.
Winning cures a lot. Matthew Miller asked why is Cook listed second string because he's getting into fights with his position coach.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Saban has a bit different. Yep, correct. However, I don't see Oklahoma losing to Iowa State. They've already had that lost game, and they're going to do whatever they can to try to blow teams.
Where is that game? That game is in Norman, right? Or is it in Ames?
I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
The Spurs are up 90-84. I saw Derek White just had a nice little play.
Why isn't DeJounte and Derek playing at the same time?
Okay, it's in Norman. Cool. Appreciate you, Senior 91. And Little Red, appreciate you, man. Thank you, guys. And thank you for giving me an honest answer, Liverpool. Hopefully we get to see y'all again for the rematch.
I thought I saw someone say something about Brandon Jones has been a disappointment. Oh, right here, yeah. If we're being honest, Brandon Jones has been. I disagree with that. I think it's really.
So before you answer, let me ask Fresh Prince this because he's a very good friend of the channel.
Okay.
Fresh Prince, and IG's getting ready to shut off. I think you guys are starting to make your way over to YouTube. So, guys, horns always up over there. And remember to get your bottle of Boss's Ranch, HEB Cold Produce. Check them out. Fresh Prince, my question to you though is, when Brandon Jones came to Texas, what were your expectations, man? What type of player did you think he was going to be? And did you think he was? What were your expectations of him? I'll let him answer, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I disagree because everyone thought since he was a 5-star, he was going to come in and be Earl Thomas. But you know how many times there's an Earl Thomas, right? there's very few times. So what he's done is he's
come in. Redshirted.
Yeah.
Brandon had to play. Was playing freshman
as a true freshman, and I think he's been great, especially against the run. He's been our surest tackler, and he's just been sideline to sideline for us. So I mean, I think the only thing that he is a negative on him is when he's on the ball defending, man coverage. That's the only thing that's a negative on him. Yeah, he doesn't have the interceptions, but I think we looked it up earlier in the season that Kenny Vaccaro didn't have that many interceptions either, too, or anything like that. But he kind of that's where he drew similarities to me is to Kenny Vaccaro.
This might be a little bit of a corny answer, but I want to answer that question too. I think Brandon Jones has been tremendous at Texas, and if I'm being honest, has he done everything on the field that I thought he was going to do coming out of high school? No, but I also have shifted my expectations. Figuring out the situation that he came into, the mess of the program he came into. Coach was fired immediately after his first year. And then a lot of the turnover he's had to deal with every single year. But one of the things that why I've been thrilled with Brandon Jones is on the field, off the field. He's one of the best people we've ever had in this program. And the reason why I'm looking at this camera is, a lot of y'all saw the story of him, at the hospital working with kids. The one young man, Jaden, he was working with. And you hear story. I've never met Brandon Jones in person. I've met a few other guys. There's another young man I met on the team that I want to talk about here in a little bit. But Brandon Jones, I hear more good stuff about him than almost anybody else on the team. Staff, players, people in the Austin community. And on top of that, he has had some injury stuff, but he's gonna be a really good NFL player. He's gonna be one of those guys that's gonna be up for NFL Man of the Year. He's a smart kid. Has he lived up to his physical gifts and all that yet? No. I'm just keeping it a buck as I always do. But he has been a big positive for Texas. And I did not know he was that type of kid when we got him out of high school. I didn't know that.
And I don't think that Caden Stearns would ramp up this fast without him too. I think he's a big reason why Caden Stearns had such a big year his freshman year. But he did reply, and he said that basically what I was saying was expecting something close to Earl Thomas. He's a 5-star. Ranked in the 20th in the nation, also expecting to take the next step this year by playing around better talent in the back end. Like I said, there's legitimately one Earl Thomas, and everyone points to Earl Thomas, the way he plays the ball and everything like that. And it's just the way he was a ball hawk made him stand out so much more. I mean, he's not a ball hawk, really. He is a run support safety. That's what he is.
So Fresh Prince, I think what Trent's saying is he's more Kenny Vaccaro than Earl Thomas in terms of his skill set. But in terms of expectation, I think the guy who might be closer to that is maybe Caden in terms of ball skills.
Yeah.
But we got to get Caden back, and we got to get Caden playing at his natural position as well, because he was also being asked to play nickel. But
everyone also rates interceptions. It's a little bit overrated, honestly. It's a good stat to go by as a defensive back, of course, because you're turning over the ball. But one of our leading statistically intercepting the ball is one of them is Dylan Haynes, and I would never put him in the same category as Brandon Jones.
I agree. I'm picking Bama, Mina. And for those of y'all who, let me know if y'all watched our video that I did with my buddies, Billy and Tyler. That was a lot of fun.
That's Tua playing first.
Tua is not only playing; he's looking good. He looks the best I've ever seen him in
Dad pulled out the belt.
Tua been out there. The little bit of footage I've seen, Tua looks so good that even Nick Saban couldn't even lie this week. He was like, first he was trying to say he's like, what did he try to say? It's a game. It'll be a game day call. Be quiet. He's fine. Yeah. So I am gonna pick Bama though. A lot of y'all are picking LSU. If you picking LSU, why are you picking LSU? I know we're always going to be inclined to favor the team that we saw play, right? Like we saw them play Texas. So I think a lot of people, and we know how explosive they are. I just don't know if LSU by 12, but in Tuscaloosa.
I'm picking LSU too because Alabama really hasn't played anymore.
Yeah, but that's been case in the past, and then they go and blow out LSU by 30.
This is a different
This
LSU.
is a different LSU.
This is a
It's a
different
new
LSU.
day.
I mean, they can actually move the ball.
For the first
And you know what type of offenses that Saban defenses have trouble with? Or
yeah, that's true.
quick hitters.
That's true. These type of offenses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, and they also have a pretty good defense too. It's not the greatest defense, but they've got a pretty good defense.
I do agree, Bruce. So here's the thing about that game. If LSU loses, I still think they'll make the playoffs. As long as they win out.
Mhm.
If Bama loses, they're in.
Depends on how they lose.
It depends on how they lose. It depends on how the loss looks and if the game's close. If Bama loses, though, to your point about the schedule and the fact that they lost at home, I don't see how you can make a case for Bama, especially with Oregon only having one loss right now. You have an undefeated Penn State right now. You have an undefeated Ohio State right now, and I know those some of those things are going to work.
I would take a one-loss to Ohio State over a one-loss to Alabama at this point. I would.
So I don't see like LSU right now. If they lose by a field goal in Tuscaloosa, no one's mad at them.
No one's mad at them.
Clemson's going to get in just because of where they rank. The committee already told you where they're at. Denver. They got ranked 5, and two of those teams in the top 4 got to play each other. So
well, I mean, they are still undefeated. I mean, yeah, they haven't really played anyone, but they're still undefeated.
Well, the thing you got to look at it too is their talent level is still crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the last time we saw them, and I know you can't. They tell you when you're on the committee, you cannot factor in what you've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you not? And they obliterated everybody when they got to the playoffs.
And I think their mindset is, okay, let's just get to the playoffs.
Yeah,
let's just get to the playoffs. Yeah.
Their schedule is weak. No, I agree. Aaron Porter, I appreciate the shout out, man. That's some rare air to be considered a part of. I'm trying to work every day to get the content where it needs to be. I don't know if we'll ever be on the level of the herd. I've read his book, Tony Kornheiser. I'm from DC, Michael Wilbon, so I grew up around those guys. But I appreciate you guys. So smash that like button. Of course, I don't say that enough. Make sure you guys are subscribing. We just like talking. Yeah. That's why we do this, and I don't. I struggle with self promotion. It's not even trying to be humble or anything. I don't do it enough to promote our stuff. So that's where I need everybody's help, right? And feedback as well. We're trying to grow this thing and do the best we can. Mark Vasquez, K-State is a good team, man. They're ranked, we're not. But the thing is, we know what to. Hey Fitz, I appreciate you. We know what we need to do against an opponent like this. Going back to last year.
Why we regressed out the year?
It's complicated, man. Injuries, graduation. Some certain guys have
a pretty tough conference too. I mean, it's not. It's not a pushover conference like the people in the SEC think. Yeah.
And we lost 2 games. Again, we lost 2 games to 2 top 10 teams.
Yeah, top 10 teams right now. Yeah. And one of them's the number 1 in the nation.
Right. If LSU and we were a score away from them, right? So when we had more of our horses there, I would love to see Samples back. Again, I don't know Drew Maringer like that or anything, but I do hear a lot of smoke around his name in particular with certain players. But I would love to see Samples back here, and I think he's already done a great job at SMU
recruiting wise.
Mm-hmm. That also goes to my point again about relationships. Those are the type of people you need on your staff. He may not be the X and O genius, but dudes are gonna listen to Samples. You know what I mean? It just is.
People listen to Huff, and then they have him on the defensive side, and you throw him on the offensive side. K-State mixes up looks on.
Oh yeah, they definitely have a lot of multiple sets. They will snap the ball from under center. They will use a fullback, and then they will come out in the same series and go 21 personnel. They'll come out and go 11 personnel and out of shotgun. They do a lot. They do it. And that is Chris Kleiman and his background from North Dakota, as well as still incorporating the Bill Snyder power football principles.
Yeah, I agree. Mark Vasquez, we will not be there. We chose not to. We were gonna go, but we found out that the LSU Alabama game is at the same time, so we're gonna throw up 2 TVs at my house.
We're doing a duel. Yeah, we're doing a watch party.
Yeah.
For this one, it's a lot going on that we got to cover because I gotta cover both events, so we got to watch both. Not yet, Aaron, but we will get there on the t-shirts. Wife is working on it.
Yeah, I don't even have one. I don't even have one.
Hey, but y'all give me a shout if y'all going to be at the Texas Tech game because we will be there.
Yeah, we will be there.
I appreciate it. If you guys are in on t-shirts and want to buy some, we'll get that set up. I have to get with the vendor, but we have a t-shirt, we have a tank top, so we'll get on it. So Fresh Prince is talking about Jaquindon Jackson. So yeah, I mean, and we've even heard about him potentially taking visits and stuff. So we got to lock all these guys down. All these boys that we have. And keeping the movement, the Clout 2020 movement going, because at this point, Mark Vasquez is killing me, man. He said he always hits me with the all hands on deck. Do I say that all the time?
I don't know.
Do I say all hands on deck all the time? I've never thought about that.
Maybe he's just saying it.
No, every week he says he wants me to say all hands on deck. Aaron Porter said you do. All right. Well, hey, this one of those things is you don't know how much you say something until people.
I don't hear it from you that often.
No, I didn't say Bill Snyder was still there. It's Chris Kleiman, but I'm saying he still has some of those Bill Snyder principles. Anyways, that's what I was talking about. Now, Bill Snyder. I mean, he's 177 years old.
Yeah. He's a wizard.
Jackson Smith and J-Lo went to where? Ohio State, I think I saw. He committed. That brother is a beast. Correct. Donovan, he went to Ohio State, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What big recruits do we need to help the defense? Oh, that's what I was going to ask you about. We did have, and y'all chime in, the brother from Hutto that just committed.
Yeah. He's a wide receiver though.
Right? Yeah.
He's a slot guy.
Yeah. Is it Dejon Harrison or something?
Yeah.
From Hutto. He's more of a slot guy, like 5'10". His Hutto tape, he plays offense and defense. I actually saw him play last season because they beat the shit out of my cousin's team.
Which one?
They played Pflugerville.
Pflugerville?
Yeah.
Pflugerville's usually a pretty tough out.
Yeah, Dejon Harrison. Yeah, that kid. But I'm excited about that. It was funny. I was listening to Mike Rakpo and some of the guys locally. Even oh boy, they used to play here, Tim Crowder, and he made a really good point on Twitter about Central Texas kids that are kind of getting overlooked because he was like, if you talk to people in Austin, we spend so much time talking about DFW kids, and we spend so much time talking about Houston kids, and even going down to San Antonio with Cibolo Steele and Judson and all those guys, we sometimes overlook. And granted, some of those, the true Central Texas guys, right, and the talent that's there. So he's not highly ranked or anything like that, but you see a lot of, you see a skill set that we don't necessarily have right now on this roster. So I'm excited about it. Let me catch up on comments. Yeah, Rage Cactus, I agree. I saw him play corner too. I like what I saw on both sides. Looks like he might even be able to return kicks. Tom Herman for the Florida State job. Oh, let me ask you, what are y'all's thoughts about the Florida State situation? I know I'm not gonna get into the Willie Taggart stuff because he secured the bag with $20 million.
He's getting $17 million guaranteed. You could
Willie
fire me in a second.
Willie Taggart, good. But there was a tweet I sent you and Brandon, this week from inside FSU. I don't know if this is a real account or if they're like trolls or whatever. I really didn't look that closely into it, but it was getting a lot of retweets.
The Jimbo Fisher,
and well, they were talking about like Florida State potentially, in the next couple of weeks, they might have Nick Saban on the hook, to come to like just ridiculous. Like it just shows you how delusional people in college football can be. Like I sent you the Goodfellas laughing gif. Like that's how I felt of Ray Liotta. Like that's how I felt when I saw
I saw
the Saban, the Florida State rumors.
I saw Saban and Jimbo back over there, and I'm not gonna lie, if Jimbo did that, that would be the funniest move I think I've ever seen.
He can't go back to Florida State though, because academically. So one of the things I found out, academically, he left them in a really, really bad spot. And that was one of the issues that Willie Taggart was faced with. Like he couldn't even get guys eligible, and it really affected like the offensive line. And like Jimbo, like on the surface, he was still getting like some of the recruits, but like either guys were barely qualifying, there were issues in the locker room. Like one of those things where it's like when we went and audited your situation, it was like you were actually cooking the books, so to speak, right? And so Jimbo left it in a. That's what I always say. Did you leave the program better than the day
you picked it up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if he did that.
See Shea Bouchel the other night against Memphis.
They cannot let Jason Brown coach D1 football. Abel.
The guy from
that guy.
The guy from Last Chance U.
Right now, you cannot buy it online. They don't have distribution. It's only just proprietary through HEB. But if you're ever around or come this way, we'll make sure you're taken care of. I appreciate you asking about it, Brother Stoker. Love you, man. Oh, Rage Cactus said you can have HEB deliver it. So there you go. Man of Skill said, what's been going on with the Texas line? I'm assuming, are you talking about offensive or defensive line? I'm assuming you're talking about the offensive line. I just want to know which way I should go. Okay, offensive line. They've lost their mojo, and it's frustrating because nobody's gotten hurt. Tim Beck actually said today, the way they've tried it, the guards have played almost every snap this year. Parker Brown and Junior Angulau. So they've struggled with mainly their pass protection. They've struggled, and he tried to avoid it when I think it was Chip Brown asking about like the A-gap pressures that they've been giving up. Look, it's very clear what people are trying to do to Texas. They're isolating the guards. They're trying to get, because Cosme is actually really still playing at a very high level from a pass pro perspective. And he's been a little banged up, but what they're doing is they're getting Parker Braun a little bit of space, and he's really, really struggling. For those of you who don't know, he came from Georgia Tech, from the triple option offense where he did not have to pass block. We've seen Parker Braun be flat out dominant this year in the run game at times. Just mauling people, and you see why he was a two-time All-ACC player. We've also seen times this year where he's been isolated and he looks like he's stuck in mud, right? So those, and that's why the coaching. Going back to our point about the coaching in this conference, they take enough tape of film of you, they will start to find holes and nitpick you
until you figure it out.
Figure it out, exactly. And the other thing too, Jack. So I haven't even gotten to Shaq. There's no excuses for
disappointed in him.
There's no excuses for how poorly he's been playing recently. He's not injured.
It was ever since the OU game where
Neville Gallimore.
Yeah, Gallimore just mauled him. It just made him
first series of the game.
Yeah, had him turned around one time. No joke. He hit him. He hit him on his right shoulder pad and turned him. I was like, oh man.
Sounds still good. I just hit the cord. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully it sounds still good. Zach Shackelford's that's been really, really disappointing. And you've seen it the last few weeks, even against lesser opponents, where guys have been able to get penetration on him. I'm not really sure what the issue is, if he, but it sucks because, now the league needs centers, so he'll get opportunities. He'll be in a camp. There's not 32 good centers in the NFL. Trust me. However, it is concerning to see that with other guys getting better. You would think your senior year you'd be playing your best football, and I would say Shaq right now is playing back to where he was like as a sophomore, freshman at this point. What else we got here? Where are we going to play Okafor? Where would you put Okafor? Or I guess is my question, because I'm fine with Cosme at left tackle. I haven't been. I mean, everybody gets beat every now and again, but I think he's still going to be one of our better players. Aaron Porter, are we going to see Orlando break his tendencies? Or are we going to see some of the same? That's the big question. That's why his thumbnail's on here, guys, for this chat.
So I'm going to say yes.
That he will break his
tendencies.
tendencies.
Not going to be off of it. It's going to be his normal calls. It's just the type of opponent we're playing. So his blitzes will actually work against a run heavy opponent.
The key is the other spread teams.
That's
Baylor. Yeah. No, that's a very, very good point. Because to his point, I believe Todd Orlando's 2-0 against Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
And
in offenses like this, he's got a pretty good track record against them.
He does. It's the guys that throw the ball over the lot and
give it to their playmakers and say, hey, okay, go turn this 15-yard play into a 90-yard play.
So Aaron, my thoughts about Tim Beck are a little differently, man. I mean, Tom Herman's the one calling the plays, and as far as I know, Tim Beck helps with play design, and he's accountable for some of the game plan stuff, along with Larry Fedora. Because I see Larry Fedora's footprints all over this offense. I really, really do. And I think they have a very good offense. I just think that situationally they got to get better, and they've got to help out the defense more. With that being said, I am concerned, though, about special teams still. Special teams is still a problem.
100%. Yeah, it's not.
We don't have a return game.
We don't even have a punter now, like a legit punter now. So, I mean,
although Nagar did have a 54-yarder the one time he did punt, but that was one punt.
Yeah.
May have been adrenaline flowing.
Is Sam hurt and not saying?
They did say he had a rib issue earlier this season, but he's not been on the injury report with the other guys. But but then again,
I think they've been running Ellinger recently.
Yeah, he ran 17 times against Kansas.
Yeah,
he didn't run as much against TCU, but I think it's just also when he decides to run, and I think the question too is design runs versus QB scrambles, because those are two different types of running, right? How much more design run do we see? Yeah, I thought we'd see a little bit more Kirko. I don't even see Kirko on special teams right now. I don't know if they've, but then again, we barely see Roshan the last couple of weeks, which is frustrating. The running back room as a whole, they've got to get those guys more involved. I think they're at a point where they do have enough talent there. Let's go for about 10 more minutes. You can wrap that one.
So, 2013 season, Mac Brown resigned, right? Who were the guys you picked for the 2014 season? Not Charlie Strauss. We don't even know who was available back then.
Who you guys pick the next coach? I mean, here's the issue though. Like, those people weren't who they are now.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we were trying to get Nick Saban.
The only name that could pop into my head is Chris Peterson, but I don't know how long he's been in Washington.
So there's another name that came up the other day that was on the list of names that they had, but he was below Charlie Strong, and it was James Franklin, right? And James Franklin, but the thing is, and somebody else was saying this, James Franklin was a Northeastern guy, because I was familiar with him when he was at Maryland, the OC, right? Like, he wanted to go to a place where he knew he could recruit over there. kind of his neck of the woods. Just like Chris Peterson's a West Coast type of dude, right? So it's also like understanding the environment. Why we want, and one of the reasons why we went after Tom Herman, him coaching at Houston and having prior ties at Texas.
But the Chris Peterson thing, he probably would have taken back for at least a year Brian Harsin as the offensive coordinator for the recruiting purposes of that, and then he would have, because he was at Arkansas State.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only connection that I could think of. And everyone really did like Brian Harsin when he was here. But yeah, James Franklin. I mean, he was he was the second name on the list.
He was under Charlie Strong. He wasn't. Yeah, he was on the list of names. Aaron Porter, are you following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? Because I normally send out the announcements there. So if you're on there, you'll get them. If not, I'll do a better job of uploading the notifications in advance. All right, I'll have the links in the video, or you can go to a previous video and hit one of the links, and you'll be able to follow us on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I tweet a lot, so if you want to follow on Twitter, I recommend that for sure. And we get into some fun conversations on Twitter and go down some rabbit holes sometimes. We still got 70 people stronger here, which is dope. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button and showing us some love. I will also say this, and I continue to say it, like, I will be going to UT basketball games this year. If you guys like UT basketball, let me know. I will make UT basketball videos. I know the UT basketball team almost as well as probably as well as I know UT football. So I have a lot of opinions about everything going on. Andrew Jones, everybody across the sun. As well as the Big 12 basketball. Kansas starting out with a loss. So I thought that was interesting as well. Let's see.
So Fitzy said apparently Saban to Texas was a real thing.
It was.
I don't think so. I think he used it. I think
he used it to get a contract.
His agent was a genius. I really do think he manipulated it to the point where he had his wife come here and get spotted here shopping for homes. I really do, because he got a huge contract right after that, and you didn't even think twice about signing it. Right once he saw the numbers that he wanted. So I really do think he used this as a pairs.
Men's basketball right now, although I do follow female a little bit, don't know it as well, but I will. They obviously have a really good squad under Coach Aston, so I will get up to speed on that as well. Good question mark. I think, and the ladies' games are fun too.
Are we going to play in a bowl game this year? I don't know.
It depends on
hopefully an SEC team.
Let me answer that. Let's answer that question. Depends on which way we go with the. Like I said to start the prep last week. This is the fork in the road game. So where we go, what bowl we go to depends on which way we go down the road.
Wow, a little bit further.
Go ahead.
We got to win one more game to even be considered as a bowl. So
that is true. And if we win this game, we're
bowl eligible. So if we win this game, I really do think
we just said it too. Texas has to make a bowl. Has to make a bowl first. Yes, we are the defending 69th best team in the country, and we raised a banner yesterday, and we are proud of it. NIT champions, baby.
It's like just a step of intramural champions.
I don't give a shit. They came together, man.
It's a national championship, man. It doesn't matter. It's a national championship.
They came together, man.
What happened to the Spurs game, by the way? Just shut off. Did my phone just die?
Maybe the phone died. Let me see. Are they winning? The last time I saw, they were up.
Texas is going to make ace.
I'm trying to see if they won. Sorry, we're also big Spurs fans. Oh, they won 121-112.
Sweet. I just want to stay above that 500 mark.
So what are we, like 5-3 now?
Yeah, 5-3.
And the Raiders are up 20-17 in the third.
Oh wow. Turn into a game.
Cool. Jason Washington is shaping up. I would say right now, his name and Drew Maringer's name are the position coaches we're hearing about now. With Drew Maringer, he just got a win with Dejon Harrison. I don't know if he was the recruiter, but on 24/7 they had him listed as the lead recruiter. I don't know, but and then you have Quentin Johnston at Temple who was talking about how excited he's still,
The wide receiver?
Yeah, and he was talking about the adversity he's been dealing with in high school because his team is really banged up too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just interesting. Those are the names you're hearing about with behind the scenes kind of getting into it with guys a little bit. And where's that coming from? Where's that smoke coming from? Why are those the names that keep popping up?
Yeah.
Somebody's talking. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Hey, Bull, I agree with you. So let me go back and read that point because that's actually something I've been trying to articulate on this
Which one?
channel.
Abel.
318. To be honest, as bad as the season has been, I think Tom Herman will continue to progress. Look at what Coach O is doing. He lost to Troy in year 2. Look, and I said this, and people got pissed off when I said it. And I said Tom Herman is a young head coach, and he's still learning and developing. He's like, we didn't get a fully baked coach. It may not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like Coach O today clearly is and the thing is, Coach O, one of the things he figured out at LSU was I can keep ramming my head against the wall with what we're doing. And yeah, everybody knows Coach O can recruit. We've been known that since USC, Ole Miss. Like he's always recruited his ass off, right? But the thing is, he's like, I need the brainiacs in the room now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be me though. Like Joe Brady can do that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tom's got to figure out, and I think part of the mistake that Tom has made is I think he looks at, and people are, this is gonna sound crazy. I think he looks at Drew Maringer the way some of these like Sean McVay looked at like a Zach Taylor or Coach O looks at a Joe Brady, and I don't think Drew Maringer is that guy.
No, he's not.
And so, another thing too that's underestimated with Coach O is LSU's also loaded with a crap ton of analysts. And we're getting there with the analysts. Like, again, I said earlier today, I see Larry Fedora's footprints all over this offense, and I would not be surprised if Larry Fedora is elevated in some capacity in the offseason, or his son, because his son is also an analyst. So these are all things we got to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But Tom Herman, going back to the point about what Abel was saying, he is developing as I think 5 years from now, you'll look back and be like, damn, he's a way better coach now than he was. The thing is, do we have, as a fan base, have that type of patience?
I mean, when was it? How long did it take for Mac Brown to start winning 10 win seasons after 10 win season after 10 win season?
Where? At Texas?
At Texas.
It was like year 2, year 3.
When he broke off that streak?
Because he got here in, 97, 98?
Yeah.
By 2000, they were 10-win team. Consistently.
2 years? Okay. So, I mean, hey, he could
on his
still
way
win.
on his way to a 10-win team, he had a Heisman winner.
Yeah. Well,
So that was like the,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, he still could run off 2 in a row 10-win seasons if he wins out this year. He still can. So I mean, like it all starts with this Kansas State game. I know it sounds corny, the 1-0 thing, but it legitimately is. This one game can change your season. You talk about last season. One play basically turned our season around, and that was that blocked field goal against USC because we were actually not playing well that game at first. Mm-hmm. So,
Mark Vasquez, Sugar Bowl, beating Georgia, beating Oklahoma, 10-win season. We showed a lot of promise. The quarterback, him developing the quarterback, those are all reasons why Coach Herman why he would get more patience than a Charlie Strong. Unfortunately, Charlie didn't get us any of that. Just those are just facts. And I was a Charlie guy, and I loved Coach Strong, but he did not produce while he was here.
Plus, he didn't make a bowl 3 years.
Well, we made it one the first year.
Yeah, I know.
The swoops. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 years. Yeah. So 2 years you didn't make the bowl.
No, we didn't score in that game. I don't think the Arkansas.
Yeah, if we went out, if we went out, technically we'll be 11 wins because we'll have the bowl game and also the Big 12 championship. If we went out, technically.
So Kayla said, "Does Herman implement what advisors find on tape?" I mean, I will continue to say there's certain things that I see where I do see Larry Fedora's footprints on this offense. Now, is he implementing some things that I'm like? This is a big week for a guy like Andre Coleman, who was a coach at Kansas State last year and should know the personnel very well, and he's an analyst. Mm-hmm. Like, is this a week where Andre Coleman comes in and gets a chance to really go over his game plan? Like, all these guys, they're all working on tape and, crunching numbers and crunching tape, and then they come back and present their game plans to the coach, and they decide what they want to implement, what they don't, right? You can't do everything. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So I look at a guy like Andre Coleman this week, and maybe that's somebody
who is 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why not? Jamal Charles was way better NFL back than Cedric Vincent. So if you compare them, I mean, you could actually even make the argument.
Who was debating that?
Yeah, I know. But if you're doing stuff like that, you could arguably say that Priest Holmes was a better back than Ricky in the NFL.
True.
I mean,
although Ricky did. He did 10,000 yards.
Yeah, and he also missed out on like 3 years too of his prime. But I mean, if you're going by Priest Holmes' stats at Kansas City, man, he balled out.
How do you feel about Tom's way of pumping up the team? I think that's an interesting question. And guys, we're gonna wrap here at 10. I think that's where I'm gonna cut it off because it's 9:54 right now, and I just have to drive home. But Tom's way of pumping up the team. I think it's a great question because a lot of people have talked about, and there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about him wearing on guys and this whole training camp mentality that goes on through the whole season, right? Instead of like you look at the way we keep using LSU as an example, right, of what good looks like right now because they're the top dog right now. But you look at the way the LSU kids, they just are bought in. And those kids that are there right now haven't won shit. Mm-hmm. Like, if you really think about it, since Coach O's been there, they haven't won. I mean, they're decent. They beat UCF in the random bowl game last year. What have they won? But why are they so locked in?
It was a New Year's.
Yeah, but still, like, I mean, they haven't. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it, and whereas like our guys are like, they seem to be stressed. But then I look at the coach at these pressers. Sometimes he's, your attitude is going to reflect to your team, mm-hmm. or your team is going to reflect that. When you see Coach O, even though you don't understand a word of what he is saying, you don't they need to have the closed caption, you know what I'm saying, the comments to understand what Coach O is saying. But when he's up there, does he ever look stressed out?
No.
Never. No. That reflects to his team. When Joe Burrow talks, he doesn't look stressed out. Now, Sam Ehlinger is always going to be hyped up. That's how he's wired, right? I'm not saying you got to he's subtitles. I don't know why I couldn't talk. Yeah, Coach O,
that's one thing I want to see more from Sam. Like last year, he was just dancing on the field. He was pumping, and now he's just straight-ish. You don't see him having fun out there.
That's a good point.
You don't see it. I'm being dead serious. It's like I remember it was the USC game. They were playing music, and he's nodding his head, dancing to the music
before the TV timeout. Yeah.
Don't see him do it anymore.
He's almost like a coach.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that you? Yeah. And I haven't looked we're just being body language
Yeah.
doctors right now. Like I'm not in the locker or anything like that, but those guys, like, to your point, when you're loose and you're having fun, young guys attract to that.
Yeah.
Period. That's what was so cool about Vince Young. That was one of the things that people look at Vince and they look back at him like the physical marvel that he was. And yes, he was a physical marvel, and he was 99.9% of the time the best football player on the field every single game he played for Texas.
Mhm.
However, his attitude, when you listen to a Casey Studdard and other guys that were in that huddle with him, he was also the most popular guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and like, you could cut it loose around Vince, and it was about fun, and he would talk shit, and he was, we would get into it with the other team, and he was intimidated. That's the one thing that I loved about the Vince Young era was we were actually
And then if you watch that video of the Trojan Horn, whatever.
Trojan Horn.
Yeah, 30 for 30. They even say we never saw a team as fast as them before. Like, we thought we were just gonna run over this team and everything like that. But
yeah, I think all that, man. Now, having fun is also to the other thing too is your ability to get guys involved, trick plays, just being creative and using your imagination. I think that the staff needs to have more fun. The team leaders, Malcolm Roach, be loose, man.
Yeah,
go out there and have fun. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just saying we're us being body language doctors again. We're not seeing that necessarily. It's 9:59. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap?
What are your predictions? I don't know.
Oh yeah, let's do score. You want to go first?
35-24, Texas. I think we're going to beat the spread. I completely forgot about the analyst from last year from K-State. And to have 2 extra weeks to prep for him, I think that's a huge advantage.
Tom Herman put all that on himself too.
100% forgot about it.
He said, Tom Herman said, I have no excuse.
52-3 K-State. Whoever said that.
Nah, K-State's really good football team.
They are.
I'm going to go 24-21 for Texas.
Okay.
I have a lot of respect for K-State. I just think we're going to be able to get up ahead, slow them down, and I think it's going to be a similar game to what we saw in Manhattan. I think K-State is a better football team now than they were even then. But we're finally going to have some success with quarterback run defense. Put that out there. We're finally going to see some stops. Not that it's going to be a long-term solution because this offense is very unique.
Now we're going to give up a 3rd and 14, a 3rd and 10 or longer? Because we gave up 3 against TCU.
That's been their point of emphasis throughout this entire bye week, they said.
Okay.
Was focusing specifically on the 3rd and longs.
Did they have a good practice?
Had a great week of practice. Tom Herman especially had a great week of practice.
Sir, you had the whole week off. It was a great week.
Great week of practice. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate our sponsors.
Yeah.
Boss's Ranch. This Red River Ranch flavor, guys, is tremendous. Go out, HEB, Cold Produce, get your bottle today. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate Bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon, I appreciate
you, man.
Horns always up, guys.
Later.
Peace.